Coming out of isolation means realizing what isolation did to you. And I think the last year or the last year and 3 months since this pandemic began has opened many doors that were never opened because one never had the time to look at them fully and was never an environment where one felt comfortable to look at them. I am coming out of isolation and I have had a very tumultuous, very eye-opening and life-changing journey. I've looked at all the little secret chambers that I carried with me throughout my professional life so far. And I really dig deep into understanding why they were there and why they were ruling my life in certain situations. And one of the most prominent things that ruled me in my professional life, where I always needed approval from older, mostly white, but older, more experienced and superior men. And until they gave me approval, I did not feel good enough. And it was eye-opening to see where that stemmed from. It was eye-opening to see how long it was there, how it developed, and how hard the process was to actually let that go by just being aware and then surrendering to it and accepting that this is a part of me that I have to be aware of in order to understand it and then let go in the situation. I grew up as a child who was never good in school, so I grew up with the understanding that I was never good enough, full stop. And that framed a narrative for my place in the world, in the beginning in the classroom in school, going to university. I will say that 99% of people who were superior to me and leading the class or leading the lecture were men. So in my mind, there is no superior woman. It's all men. And, you know, it felt really good when you did something well, that somebody told you you did a good job. Everybody wants to be loved and accepted and praised. And it's a good feeling if somebody tells you you did something very well. And so the bridge in my mind that was kind of formed was, well, these people, because they know what they're talking about, they're so superior, make you feel good when you do something right. And because it was never women, in my mind, it had to be men. And in my experience that, you know, fostered what I thought I would need and what I also felt I need, and to this day need, is superior men telling me that I do a good job.
If I look at you from the outside, you come across as this dynamic superwoman who starts businesses, makes shit happen, drives change, doesn't have any time for idiots, gets on with things, is huge fun to work with. And you are all those things, aren't you? But that doesn't mean you're not the other things too.
And that's exactly it. This is exactly what I understood, that I am multiple parts. There's not one Camilla that wakes up in the morning and that goes through life. There are multiple parts of me. And on some days, some are stronger and some are louder, and it changes all the time. I will say that I think recognizing that you have certain parts, some are very annoying, some hold you back, some propel you forward. They were all built throughout a lifetime, and they will always be built. Some you will shed, some you will lose, and some you will gain. And the last year was really about understanding I'm not a small child anymore. I can do things right now because I've invested a lot of time in learning things. And now I'm, like, it's easy to me to be good at certain stuff, and I don't need to be ashamed. And I'm well aware that I can be very well aware that I'm good now. And I'm not the small child anymore that needs approval. I'm not the small child that seeks nice words from outside beings. But for a very long time, this is the only thing I had, because as a child, you always look up to your superior. They're so superior. They know all the stuff. They have like X decades of life experience that you don't have, and listen to your elder. And now it's like, I can, if I want to. And then I can also say, I disagree. Or I can also say, I don't find you that great or that interesting. And so I don't really care what you think about me. But there's a learning curve. And the last year was really shedding, not even shedding, but accepting and letting go of these little girl narratives that were developed very early in life, and that I now look back on as a grown woman and say, thanks for being there. You helped me tremendously, but right now you can just chill over there. You're no longer needed. And it sounds very easy. It's very hard work because it's been a part of you for so long. And it will creep up again. And then you're like, I see you, I appreciate you, but not now.
And if I was with you, what would I observe when they started creeping up on you?
I would probably you would tell me that I am trying too hard. The feedback has always been the same. It's like, you are trying too hard. You do not need to work this hard. If you keep working this hard, you will have a burnout with 34. And then you won't be able to work until the rest of your life. You're sprinting. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And nobody asks you to do this. This is in your head. Your head is like, this is not good enough. This is not enough. You need to do more, and more, and you never rest. And that you would observe, where you're like, but nobody asked you to do this, and now you're bringing this up. Why are you bringing this up? And it's this constant need of like, can you see me? I can, I have also another great idea. And, it's like, please recognize that I'm good at stuff. You would observe that, I presume. Going through the experience that I went through last year, I would say everybody is on their own journey. So the most important part that I had to understand was time is not linear. And what that means is like, the reason why I'm sitting here is because I experienced 32 years, and the collective experience of 32 years brought me to this point and will bring me to the next point. Not one point in life is not observed and taken to make you a better human. So at the end of the day, the reason why I'm here now and why I do the things I do it because I went through 32 years that has shaped me until this point. Everybody's on their own journey. Some people finish school with 14 and then university with 19, and then build their first billion-dollar company when they're 21. And you're like, oh my God, I have not even finished my bachelor with 21. It doesn't matter. You can have multiple careers, which means you can choose a different path multiple times over. You can have huge successes with 32 and then die at 40. You can become president of the United States with 76. Does that mean the 75 years before that are meaningless or not as valid? No, it just means that everybody's on their own timeline. And to understand that, to not be pressured by society to be at a certain place in a certain time, and then always looking at other people who are like, oh my God, they are doing so much better than me, and then being depressed and sad by it, or work yourself into a burnout, is just not right way forward, because everybody should do what feels right to them, and that is the only thing that you know, and only you know, and for sure is the right thing for you.